Good afternoon. So just a little background about light rail transit. The term encompasses quite a range of different systems. We can have street-running trams all the way to fully automated systems running on separate guideway. So LRT implementation has become quite popular recently. It's a very cost-effective way to provide transportation infrastructure. And for a large city, it can complement their existing metro. We see this today happening in Paris. I think they've built 5 LRT lines in the last 5 or 6 years. Shanghai is planning a network of about 1,000 kilometers of LRT to complement their 17 or 18 metro lines. It's hard to keep up with that number. So we also see this in smaller cities where the LRT becomes the backbone of their transportation network. Also, traditionally, we've seen these in Germany where the LRTs will complement the existing suburban trains. I was in Stuttgart a few weeks ago, and very extensive LRT system there. I think more and more transit operators are seeing the benefits of a dedicated right-of-way. So an LRT running in the street still suffers from the traffic. So whether we can get it separate as much as possible, that's a major benefit. Because we want to make the passenger's experience as good as we can in order to increase ridership. So first of all, a little background about Thales Ground Transportation. We are doing the IT part of a system, you might say. We're doing signaling, supervision, communications, security, passenger information, and fare collection. We have divisions for mainline railway, urban, and we do some work in roads as well. And we have over 7,000 employees in our division, with over 100 different customers in 50 countries. And we've got competence centers in 20 different cities around the world. So our goal is to provide the tools, or the systems that can allow an operator to get the most out of their LRT infrastructure. Provide the solutions that will make the system run the best and increase the passenger satisfaction. So if we look at our portfolio, we can provide systems for light rail, line of sight, conventional systems running in the street. We have ways of having the driver set the route. And we can also interface to traffic lights to preempt the traffic signals to improve the running of the LRT. For dedicated right-of-way systems, we have automatic train protection, and that can be a fixed block ATP with speed supervision and red signal enforcement. Or it can be a full communication-based train control that could allow for automatic train operation and driverless. And this would be equivalent to what's running on the Dubai Metro here. So we have a high level of integration at the control center, and this allows full tracking of the train, train regulation, and providing good information to the passengers. We can have train-to-ground communications. This can be localized, maybe just at stations with inductive loops, or we can have continuous radio or localized radio as well. And also we use RFID as well for localized communication. So our complete offer, which I will go into the various parts of this, includes the localization, train regulation, traffic light and priority management at road and crossings, timetable management, and signaling and interlocking for lines and depots, and for the more sophisticated systems, the speed supervision and the red signal enforcement, or the ATO operation. All this provides, is integrated with other systems such as communications, power, passenger information, and fare collection. So for localization, the key thing is to provide the train location to the control center. For this can range from, as I mentioned earlier, just discrete localization points where the train would communicate to the control center. It could be every station, or we can have continuous communication depending on the requirements of the LRT. We provide train regulation, so we can provide consistent train arrivals, have the trains maintain their schedule. We can also do headway regulation where there really is no schedule. It's just a matter of having trains arrive every few minutes, every 2 minutes, every 3 minutes, whatever the headway is set to. And depending on the operation, we can mix scheduled and headway together. So if you have a line where there's a number of trains merging at some point, you may want to run scheduled on the branches and headway on the combined part of the line. And our system would allow complete editing and importing of and exporting of the timetables. So each daily timetable can be customized. So for signaling, including interlocking functions, we can provide multiple switch points in single or multiple switch points and deal with complex junctions in the depot. Our signals are Beilstrap compliant. This is the German standard for light rail, and the aspects are shown instead of green, yellow, red, it's vertical or horizontal line, or the pinpoint white line. So when we're running on the street, the driver typically has the ability to set the route. So this requires communication from the train to the interlocking at selected locations. The route request would be passed from the train to the interlocking, and the switches would be moved. The driver would get visual indication back from the wayside. Traffic light and priority management is important in order to make sure the LRT is moving smoothly through the traffic, and this can be done both locally when the train reaches a certain point. A preemption request is sent to the traffic system, or it can be done centrally where the central control center will pass the location of all the LRTs to the traffic management system. When we have a dedicated guideway, we have two solutions. The first one is using fixed block automatic train protection. The onboard computer will do speed supervision and red signal enforcement. We use transponder tags on the ground for the train to determine its location. And we will have B tags at the signal. So we have special transponders that are activated by the signal. And if If there is no transponder read by the train, then the signal is read and the train will be stopped. We can do for a 2-aspect or a 3-aspect system. And with this system, we can fully control the speed of the train and enforce the red signals. For more sophisticated applications, we have communication-based train control, which is very similar to what we would put in a metro. This is where the onboard controller vitally determines the position of the train, normally by reading transponders on the ground and having its onboard database. And it communicates its position to the wayside controller. The wayside controller then sends a movement authority to each of the trains in its zone. And this system it can be used for a driver-based system with automatic train protection, or we can have automatic train operation with or without a driver on board. So we've seen more and more light rail systems going to CBDC recently, and
hello everyone. The Comprehensive Railway Surveying Systems workshop will now begin in the Maintenance and Intermodal Seminar Zone. Thank you.
Thank you. The benefits, CBDC typically will cost more than a traditional system, but the reduced wayside infrastructure will make maintenance cheaper, life cycle costs will be reduced. It does allow for UTO operation, and we have seen places where even though there is manned operation on the main line, that the operator wants to run his depot with unattended. So this can save money, and as a result, the additional upfront cost of the CBDC system is warranted. So passenger information, a critical thing these days. By maintaining the location of the trains in real time, the system can send information to displays on the train, at the stations. Also have capabilities these days to interface to passengers' mobile phones. In this day and age, it's important that passengers know when trains are coming. The old days of standing at a station for 15 minutes in the cold is no longer acceptable. Or in the hot, I guess, if you're here. Security is also a big issue. Thales provides security systems, so we can do video surveillance on the train, at the platforms, anywhere where passengers will be. We can do standalone systems where we're merely recording, or we can provide real-time security updates to the central control. Just a list of some of the standards that our systems are meeting. CENELAC standards in Europe, ARIMA in the United States and Canada, and IEC is the international standards. So Thales provides support to LRT operators during the whole phase of a project. We've got worldwide experience in urban rail signaling, so we can participate right at the beginning to support a tender. During construction implementation of a system, we've had many, many years of implementing systems both in greenfield and brownfield. And once it's running, we have a very good track record of service and support. During the operation of the system, the return on investment is supported with the excellent diagnostics and the support of passenger information to the passenger. And our building blocks have been developed to international standards where we can support interfacing to other suppliers' equipment. Just a quick look at a few of our projects we've had over the years. here's a list of the LRT projects, mostly in Europe. Excuse me, I gotta get a little water. Okay, I'm back. And we have 3 projects in North America and 1 in Brazil. The system in Brazil was awarded last year. It's going into service this year. And we're providing interlocking and fixed and mobile communications and CCTV. In Manchester, we've had an ongoing project started in 2008, very large project, 100 kilometers of track with 100 stops and 100 vehicles. So this has been a system where it's like I talked about earlier, where it's been growing during the implementation, and it's has branches in the suburbs, and they merge downtown. So Thales provided the communications backbone and voice and data applications and SCADA and security, passenger information and displays, and a interlocking point controller. In Bergen, Norway, there's a system with 29 road crossings, and we provided the point controller, and we do interfaces to the traffic signal controllers using an RFID tag. Operational control center we supplied, and it's monitoring all the vehicle locations so it can provide passenger information. In Edmonton, Edmonton asked for communication-based train control for their LRT. They have approximately, I think it's 12 kilometers of track, and part of it's in a tunnel. And this project will open this year. It's quite an interesting project for CBDC. There's 94 LRT cars. They had to be coupled in trains of 2, 3, 4, or 5 cars. And also have, I think, approximately 20 level crossings. So the train has to indicate to the wayside as it approaches the level crossing so that we can optimize travel on the sections where we're on the street. So this was a case of a system that was partially dedicated guideway, partially street running, and they chose CBDC. Another project in Ottawa, Canada, a new line in the first LRT in Ottawa will have 12 kilometers of track and dedicated guideway with a 2.5 kilometer tunnel in the middle of the city. And they chose our CellTrack CBDC solution, and they will have drivers on the train, but not in the depot. So we'll do a fully automated depot, as I mentioned earlier, so the operator will save on operating costs by having a driverless depot. So these are the various options that Thales provides for LRT systems, and we look forward to working with any operators that are looking at putting in new LRTs. Thank you very much.